The Dallas Cowboys find themselves at a critical crossroads as the regular season comes to an end, with long-term decisions looming. While the Week 18 finale will draw attention from fans and analysts, its competitive meaning is limited for Dallas, which changes the priorities entirely. In situations like this, NFL franchises must weigh short-term optics against long-term sustainability, especially when player health is already compromised. One name stands at the center of this debate: Javonte Williams, whose breakout season has been a bright spot in an otherwise uneven year. Despite his outstanding production, logic suggests that resting Williams in the finale is the smartest decision for both the player and the organization. The argument is not about performance. It is about protection and about making sure a great story in 2025 does not turn into a costly mistake for 2026. When Dallas signed Williams this past offseason, expectations were modest. Few predicted he would become one of the offense's most reliable weapons. Now in his fifth NFL season, Williams has delivered career-best numbers across the board, redefining his value within the Cowboys offense. He set new personal highs in rushing attempts, total rushing yards, touchdowns on the ground, and efficiency per carry, proving durability and explosiveness. Those numbers tell a clear story. Williams was not just productive, he was central. Dallas leaned on him week after week to stabilize the offense. His consistency helped mask other offensive inconsistencies, keeping the Cowboys competitive even when other areas failed to perform at a high level throughout the season. That workload, however, comes with consequences, and as the season closes, those consequences have become impossible to ignore. Williams' most recent setback came during the victory over the Washington Commanders, a game that highlighted both his importance and his vulnerability. During that matchup, Williams officially triggered all of his performance incentives, boosting his contract value from $3 million to $3.5 million for the year. Unfortunately, the celebration was short-lived. A lingering shoulder injury forced him out of the game before the final whistle, raising immediate concern. This was not a new issue. The shoulder problem has followed Williams for several weeks, requiring pain management and limiting full recovery. Each additional hit increases the risk of aggravation or long-term damage, especially at a position as physically demanding as running back. Continuing to expose him in a game with no playoff stakes would represent an unnecessary gamble with his health and future availability. That is why shutting Williams down for the Week 18 matchup against the New York Giants is not only reasonable, but responsible. Rest would allow his shoulder to begin a full recovery cycle, rather than simply managing pain through treatment and adrenaline, which has been the case down the stretch. For a running back, shoulder health is critical. Blocking, pass protection, absorbing contact, and ball security all depend on stability and strength. Allowing Williams to heal properly now increases the likelihood that he can enter the 2026 offseason without limitations, rather than starting another year already behind physically. Even if the Cowboys do not re-sign him, protecting his health remains the ethical and professional approach, especially after maximizing his value. Meaningless snaps should never outweigh a player's long-term well-being, and this situation clearly falls into that category. From a business standpoint, the decision becomes even clearer. Williams' future in Dallas is not guaranteed, making injury risk an even more sensitive issue. Running backs rarely receive long-term security in today's NFL, and every unnecessary injury can significantly impact market value, leverage, and career longevity. If Williams returns in 2026, the Cowboys would benefit from having him healthy, fresh, and fully functional, rather than recovering from preventable damage. If he leaves in free agency, Dallas still benefits indirectly by maintaining good faith with players around the league, showing a willingness to protect its contributors. Organizations build reputations based on moments like these, when restraint signals professionalism rather than desperation or short-sighted decision-making. Protecting Williams now is as much about culture as it is about football, and that message resonates far beyond a single game. Sitting Williams also creates an opportunity for Dallas to evaluate its depth, which has been a concern behind the starting running back throughout the season. Currently, the Cowboys lack proven options at the position, making late-season evaluation essential for off-season planning and roster construction. One player who has stood out is Malik Davis, who delivered a strong performance on Christmas Day, recording over 100 rushing yards. Davis has earned consideration as a potential number 2 back for the 2026 season, but additional game reps would help confirm his readiness for that role. The season finale provides a controlled environment to assess his vision, durability, and pass game involvement without risking the health of the primary starter. Giving Davis extended work serves both evaluation and development goals, something Dallas desperately needs as it looks toward the future. Beyond Davis, the Cowboys must also evaluate their younger options, starting with Jaden Blue, whose rookie season has been underwhelming statistically. Blue has struggled to find rhythm, posting minimal yardage on limited opportunities, but that alone does not tell the full story of his potential. Running backs often require consistent snaps to develop confidence, vision, and timing, none of which can be fully assessed through sporadic usage. The finale offers a low-pressure setting to see whether Blue can flash traits that made him a developmental prospect worth investing in. Without meaningful stakes, the Cowboys lose nothing by expanding his role, while potentially gaining clarity on whether he can contribute in a larger capacity moving forward. Determining his ceiling now helps avoid costly miscalculations during the offseason when roster spots and draft priorities must be finalized. Another name to monitor is Phil Mafah, who remains on injured reserve with a shoulder issue of his own, but could still factor into plans before the season ends. Mafah has yet to make his debut, and while expectations should be tempered, any opportunity to see him on the field would provide valuable information ahead of roster decisions in 2026. Even limited snaps could reveal his physical readiness, burst, and comfort level within the offensive system, which practice alone cannot replicate. With nothing at stake in the standings, the Cowboys can afford to experiment responsibly, rotating younger backs without exposing Williams to unnecessary punishment. This approach aligns perfectly with a franchise focused on sustainability rather than short-term optics, especially at a position with historically short shelf life and high injury risk. The goal now is clarity, not wins in the standings, and the finale should reflect that strategic shift. Critics may argue that competitive integrity demands fielding the best players, but the NFL has long recognized the importance of context. When seasons reach this stage, franchises routinely protect starters once postseason outcomes are determined, particularly when health concerns exist. And this situation fits that precedent perfectly. Williams has already proven his value beyond doubt. There is nothing left to gain by pushing him through pain, especially when recovery time is the smarter investment. Moreover, the Cowboys coaching staff has emphasized development and evaluation in recent weeks, signaling a shift toward long-term planning rather than immediate results. The optics of resting Williams may frustrate some fans, but the logic is undeniable when viewed through the lens of roster health, future planning, and organizational responsibility. Sometimes the toughest decision is doing nothing, and in this case, doing nothing is precisely what benefits Dallas the most. In the end, sitting Javonte Williams in the season finale represents sound management, not surrender or complacency. For the Dallas Cowboys, it protects a player who exceeded expectations, maximized his contract value, and carried a heavy workload through an entire season, deserving caution rather than risk. It also opens the door for meaningful evaluation of depth players, helping shape decisions that will define the roster. Entering the 2026 campaign with no playoff implications, the focus should be on preservation, information gathering, and setting the stage for a healthier, more prepared offseason. The Cowboys have little to gain and much to lose by forcing Williams back onto the field while injured, making restraint the wiser choice. Sometimes the smartest play is not the most aggressive one. And for Dallas, protecting Javonte Williams now may pay dividends long after Week 18 concludes.